Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about Star Wars Beyond Victory, which is only available on MetaQuest 3 and MetaQuest 3S. And I want to answer the question if this is a glorified MetaQuest 3 tech demo, or is this an actual game we can sink some time into. And if you enjoyed today's video, please remember to hit like and subscribe for more VR content. So when you first fire up Star Wars Beyond Victory, you're presented with three modes. You've got Adventure, Arcade, and then Playset. And I think the best place to start this video is talking about the adventure mode, because I believe that's the first thing that every player will gravitate towards, and for good reason. It's the place where you get all the story, you get to do a lot of the pod racing and do a lot of challenges to get some of the unlocks. So you play a character called Volo Bolas, and he's an extremely skilled pod racer, but he's also financially struggling at the time when he enters your life in this game. You make a shady deal with Sebulba, who is actually banned from pod racing. He becomes like your mentor and basically promises that you're going to be able to make it into the next championships.
Sebulba wants back in the winner's circle, but with his ban currently in place, well, it's not an easy thing to do.
And also the adventure mode comes in like three different presentations. You've got virtual reality, mixed reality, and then you've got the pod racing, which is obviously in mixed reality too. Now the VR part of this game, I think, has some of the best graphics I've ever seen on Quest. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately though, you are bound to very small areas. There is smooth turning and there is a few things you can pick up. You'll be doing things like welding your pod racer before a couple of races, fixing some bits, but all in all this is just like a little tech demo area, but it is very beautiful. And there's also some characters, and the character animations look fantastic. And before I forget, the voice acting in this game is absolutely brilliant. And in between that, you'll be doing the mixed reality story parts, which basically gives you one big area outside of Volo Bolas's garage where he works on the pod racer. And these are just small sections, but they're quite nice to walk around in. It kind of reminds me of the click and point adventures, but obviously it looks pretty cool because it's like a living diorama in your room, you know, watching this happen. I've not really seen this in mixed reality before, and it's pretty cool. Then you've got the pod racing itself, and I would argue that pod racing is probably the reason that most people want to pick this up. The playset feature does look cool, and I'm going to talk about it in a minute, but I think the pod racing is the real thing. You know, this is the main reason people pick it up. And I don't know if any of you have seen my new VR games videos for the last couple of months, but one thing I was very worried about is the draw distance. Seeing it from the trailers and playing it, it's better, but it's also a little bit worse. So presentation wise, detail wise, it looks fantastic. Seeing like a city come up in your living space, being able to peer onto the track through like this virtual window, and there's occlusion as well. So if you turn occlusion on, your hands and your arms won't clip through the mixed reality board. That's a really cool feature. I don't know if we've seen that on any other Quest games so far. But when it comes to the pod racing, at first it's kind of fun, but you'll crash a lot. And then when it really starts to pick up speed, unfortunately the camera kind of zooms in a little bit more, and it really does affect reaction times. Like, you've got to be fully locked in to be trying to play this really well, because things just come at you so fast. This draw distance is worse than F-Zero, which came out in 1990. It's so minimal. But one thing you can do is you can manipulate the game board, and that's not just in the pod racing mode, it's also in the mixed reality like adventure bit where you're walking around. You can actually grab the world and make it as big or as small as you want and turn it left and right. So what I found with the pod racing was giving it a bit more of a vertical angle, so it's like a bit more in my line of sight. But unfortunately, I just don't think that Quest 3 can really handle doing mixed reality at this speed that well. The draw distance just doesn't fit the game. Is it enjoyable? Sometimes. You know, it's kind of fun, but as I'm going to tell you in a minute, once I was done with the adventure mode, which only takes an hour and a half, unfortunately, this really does feel like a MetaQuest demo. Do I think it's an expensive Quest demo? I'll let you know at the end, because we're going to talk about the playset as well. So yeah, it takes 1.5 hours to do the campaign. Then you got the arcade mode. Now, unfortunately with the arcade mode, it's only 4 tracks, and they're all pulled exactly as they are out of the story. So it's not like 4 tracks brought out, they're all just their own unique races, because they're not. So the first race is exactly as it was in the game, and the last race, which is against Sebulba, is exactly the same. So you can unlock new pod racers, and credit where credit's due, all the pod racers are different, which is really cool. Sebulba's is definitely the best though. He's got like a TIE fighter pod racer, and it's the fastest, probably the most agile, and it's got like really cool weapons and lasers on it. So once you've kind of hit that point of the game, there's not really that much to go back to unless you want to chase leaderboards. By this point, I've played this game I think for around 4 hours and I've seen everything. Like, apart from there's some challenges to unlock still, a couple of characters, I've pretty much seen everything this game has to offer. So that brings us nicely onto the playset mode, which isn't going to take me long to cover at all. Basically, you get some cool characters from the main Star Wars series, C-3PO, R2-D2. They can be manipulated like toy figures, and it is pretty cool because you can make them like life-size figures and then move their arms and legs, R2-D2's head. You can use the pod racers you've unlocked from the game and actually use them in your environment like remote control cars. Unfortunately, the really cool stuff, like the TIE fighters in the game, you can't remote control them, but they do look brilliant just hanging there in midair. There's also some small bits like chairs, tables, just odd bits and bobs from the actual game, and the only reason I think you would have this, like you want to make your own set piece or scene from the game and put it in your room, if you follow me. That's all I can see this for. But to be honest, after 15 minutes, I'm pretty much done with this. I do think Star Wars fans will probably get a lot more out of it than I will. But yeah, that's the playset feature pretty much done. This is a MetaQuest tech demo. I am disappointed, but not disappointed with what we have. I think for $20, it's not bad. I think 4 to 5 hours enjoyment out of this isn't that bad for $20, but what I am disappointed with is what it could have been. The VR parts of this game look absolutely brilliant, and there's so much detail in the mixed reality parts. I just wish the pod racing was actually in VR. That's all you're going to be thinking when you're playing it. You're going to be thinking, God, I wish I was sitting inside this pod racer. Or even just being in virtual reality looking at a third person, that'd be fine as well. But the mixed reality just kind of makes it magical, but it also kind of kills the action at the same time. So even though it does feel like a vertical slice of a game, it is still pretty cool. Do I recommend it? Yes, I do for $20. I think, especially for Star Wars fans, you're going to have a good time with this. It's part of the Star Wars universe. It looks great. It sounds great. But I think for most people, after the initial 4 to 5 hours, you're going to be done. There's not going to be really any reason to return to this apart from doing the challenges. I did 80% of the challenges within an hour. Like, it didn't take long at all. So there it is. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe for more VR content, and I'll see you on the next one.